My name is Margaret Wilson. And at 70 years old, I thought I had seen everything life could throw at me. I raised my son David alone after my husband died when David was 12. I worked double shifts, scrubbed floors until my knees gave out, all so my boy could have a better life. But nothing could have prepared me for the day a beautiful young woman walked into our lives and nearly destroyed everything I had spent decades building. It started on a Tuesday in October. David called with something I hadn't heard in his 43 years of life. Pure joy. Mom, I've met someone. Her name is Sarah Mitchell. She's incredible. Beautiful. Smart. Successful. She works as an executive assistant for Goldman Enterprises downtown. I can't believe someone like her would be interested in someone like me. My heart should have soared. God knows I had prayed for this moment. But something in my chest felt heavy, like a stone settling in my stomach. When do I get to meet her? I asked. Friday dinner? That roast beef with Yorkshire pudding? She's really excited to meet you? I spent 3 days cleaning every corner of our small house in Queens, polishing china, rehearsing conversations like an actress, preparing for opening night. Friday came, and there she was. Sarah Mitchell was everything David described. Tall, honey blonde hair, dressed in a simple black dress that cost more than my monthly check. But it was her smile that struck me. Perfect. Warm. The kind that made you trust her instantly. Mrs. Wilson, I've heard so much about you. David talks about you constantly. Dinner was perfect. Sarah complimented everything, asked thoughtful questions about David's childhood, offered to help with dishes. She was charming. Perfect. Everything I wanted for my son. So, why did I lie awake that night? My mind racing with questions I couldn't answer? Over the next weeks, David transformed. He bought new clothes, got a haircut, talked constantly about Sarah's work, her dreams of traveling the world. She's helping me see possibilities I never imagined, he told me. She thinks I should apply for that promotion. Says I'm wasting my talents. Something about Sarah bothered me. Maybe how she steered conversations away from her family, or never had her phone when it rang. Maybe how she knew exactly what to say to make David light up, as if she had studied him and memorized all the right answers. The first crack came 3 weeks later. I was at Murphy's coffee shop when I saw her. Sarah was sitting with a man I didn't recognize, older than David by a decade. They were leaning across the table, their conversation intense. The man slid an envelope across the table. Sarah counted what looked like cash, smiled, and slipped it into her purse. Then Sarah looked up, and for just a moment, our eyes met. The warmth vanished from her face, like someone flipped a switch. Cold, calculating, before she quickly left. That night I called David. I thought I saw Sarah downtown today. At Murphy's. Was she working in that area? No, Mom. She was at the office all day. Big presentation. Why? Must have been mistaken. But my hands were shaking as I hung up. The doubts started shouting. I found myself doing things I never imagined. Asking casual questions about Sarah's work, her family. The answers never added up. She claimed to work for Goldman Enterprises. But when I called pretending to be from an alumni association, they said no. Sarah Mitchell worked there. 2 weeks later, my fears were confirmed in the most unexpected way. At the grocery store, a young woman helped me reach cereal from the top shelf. You remind me of my neighbor? She said, then paused. Wait. Don't I know you? You're David's mom. Right? Margaret Wilson? My blood went cold. How do you know, David? My name is Jessica Torres. I think we need to talk. In my kitchen 20 minutes later, Jessica told me a story that made my world collapse. Sarah Mitchell isn't her real name. It's Sandra Reeves. And she destroyed my brother's life 2 years ago. Jessica's brother Miguel had been a successful contractor. Sandra approached him as an interior designer with wealthy clients. She convinced him to expand his business, take out loans, buy equipment. She gained access to his accounts to streamline payments. Within 6 months, she had emptied everything and disappeared. Miguel lost his business, his house, nearly his marriage. Women like her prey on lonely men, Jessica said, showing me a photo on her phone. It was Sarah, but with darker hair. Different style. They move city to city, changing names, identities. Same face, same methods. I felt like drowning. What do I do? David is so happy, so in love. You have to tell him. And soon. But I was too late. That very night, David came over with news that turned my blood to ice. Mom, Sarah and I want to get married. She found this amazing investment opportunity. Real estate in Florida. Guaranteed to triple our money in 2 years. But we need $50,000 to get in. $50,000. Nearly everything in my retirement savings. We could take a home equity loan. Or sell the house and get something smaller. This is our chance. Mom, please. Sell the house where my husband carried me as a bride. Where David grew up. I spent that night walking the floors, touching walls my husband had painted. By morning, I had decided I was going to fight for my son. I called Jessica, then assembled what felt like a war council. Jessica brought her cousin Rico, who worked in computer security. My neighbor Bob, a retired detective, agreed to help. Within hours, Rico had proof. Meet Sandra Reeves, aka Lisa Thompson, aka Elena Rodriguez, aka Sarah Mitchell. Active warrants in 3 states. Rap sheet longer than my arm. We need evidence of a crime in progress. Bob said. We set a trap. The plan was simple but terrifying. I would agree to the investment meeting. Wear a wire. Try to get Sarah and her accomplices to incriminate themselves. The meeting was at a Manhattan restaurant. Sarah brought Robert Goldman, supposedly the developer. For an hour, Goldman painted pictures of guaranteed wealth that sounded too good to be true. Minimum investment, $50,000. Returns of $150,000 in 24 months. Guaranteed. I played my part, asking questions, while the wire recorded everything. We need all commitments by tomorrow afternoon. Goldman said. I'll need to liquidate investments. I said. Sarah and I could meet you at your bank tomorrow morning. Goldman offered. These institutions can be complicated. There it was. They wanted access to my bank. The next morning at First National Bank, wearing the wire, I carried the weight of my son's future. Bob posed as a customer nearby. David, Sarah, and Goldman arrived precisely at 10. We met with Mrs. Chen, the bank manager. Sarah and Goldman were perfectly charming until Mrs. Chen asked for documentation of their guarantees. Goldman left to get papers from his car. As soon as the door closed, I knew it was time. Sarah, or should I call you Sandra? The temperature dropped. Sarah's smile flickered. Sandra Reeves. That's your real name, isn't it? The woman who destroyed Miguel Torres? David stared at me in shock. I pulled out the folder of evidence. Sarah Mitchell doesn't exist. This woman is a con artist with warrants in 3 states. Sarah jumped up, face flushed. You crazy old woman. Paradise Shores Development doesn't exist either. I continued. Neither does Robert Goldman. Tell her this isn't true. David pleaded. Your mother is having a mental episode. Sarah snapped, but her composure was cracking. Mrs. Chen spoke up. Actually, Mrs. Wilson is correct. There's no Paradise Shores registered in Florida. And the permits don't exist. The mask fell away. Sarah's face twisted with rage. You interfering old bitch? Do you have any idea what you've done? How much money you just cost me? David stumbled backward. Sarah. Shut up. David. She snarled. You pathetic little man. You were never anything more than a paycheck to me. Did you think someone like me could love someone like you? I watched my son's heart break, but also saw relief in his eyes. As if part of him had always known. That's when police arrived. Mrs. Chen had pressed the silent alarm. As they handcuffed Sandra, she looked at me with pure hatred. You think you've won? You've condemned your son to loneliness. He'll never trust another woman. The aftermath was surreal. Hours at the police station, learning Sandra had stolen over $2 million from victims across 7 states. She was eventually sentenced to 12 years. David struggled for months with trust and depression. But gradually, with counseling and time, he healed. 1 year later, he met Claire, a librarian. Quiet, genuine, content with simple pleasures. Nothing like Sandra. 2 years later, they married in our backyard. Jessica was there with Miguel, who had rebuilt his business. As I watched David dance with his wife under string lights, I thought about our journey. The fear, investigation, heartbreak, and healing. Sandra had nearly destroyed us, but made us stronger. I'm 72 now, and I've learned the most important battles aren't always obvious. Sometimes protecting those we love means making hard choices, asking difficult questions, refusing easy answers. David and Claire are expecting their first child. As I watch him prepare for fatherhood, I see the same fierce protectiveness I felt fighting for him. He'll be a good father, the kind who trusts, but verifies. Sometimes late at night, I think about other mothers whose children might be targets. That's why I share this story. Predators like Sandra count on our politeness, our desire to believe the best, our reluctance to seem suspicious. Trust your instincts. Ask hard questions. Dig deeper when something feels wrong. Protecting those you love isn't always pretty or comfortable. Sometimes it's messy and scary. But it's always worth it. My name is Margaret Wilson. I'm 72. A grandmother-to-be. And the woman who helped put away a dangerous con artist. If I had to do it again, I wouldn't change a thing.